Avalanche and Terra join forces, Proteus Finance, Leap Wallet token rewards, and a whole bunch more. This is the Lunar Orbit podcast, and today is Tuesday, the 12th of April of 2022. Now punch that like button and let's get into it.
All right, shall we punch it?
Punch it. Punch it.
Punch it! Punch that shit!
Just punch it, man. Just punch it. Go.
Let's punch it.
So the big news that dropped right after I recorded the last podcast was a partnership between Avalanche and Terra. They're going to be using Avalanche, or AVAX, on the Avalanche chain as a reserve for UST in the same fashion that the BTC reserves are going to be used. Now, there has been a little bit of confusion about this, but my take on it is it's going to work exactly as the BTC reserve proposal that was done by Jump Crypto. So the way that would work is on AVAX itself, on Avalanche itself, during a time of depeg for UST, when it gets below 98 cents, a user could redeem their UST for 98 cents worth of AVAX, and that would be a way that it helps to reinforce the peg. So it's a pretty clever strategy, and I have a feeling we're going to see this branch out into other chains over time. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see this happen on Solana, Phantom, Polygon, Cosmos as well. And I think the idea is that UST's peg can be protected on multiple chains with multiple assets, and let the user decide what asset they want to redeem in. So I think it's a pretty clever strategy, and they're going to be forming partnerships with all of these networks, I would assume, over time. Now, not only did they buy $100 million worth of AVAX, they also did a treasury swap with the Avalanche team. So they've swapped $100 million worth of Luna for $100 million worth of AVAX, basically in a partnership. And Kinav here mentions that there's going to be a gaming subnet on Avalanche. And Terra Capital, the investment arm of Terraform Labs, is going to help fund and incubate new projects on this gaming subnet. And my assumption is UST is going to be the asset of choice within this gaming subnet. So that drives further adoption for UST. I've mentioned in previous podcasts how I think UST is a fantastic in-game currency because people can earn interest off of it, and it's a nice stable peg that everybody knows and understands rather than a really volatile asset. So that's pretty incredible news, and I'm surprised how quickly this has all happened. A lot of the finer details haven't been published yet. On top of this, Badger DAO has joined the 4Pool Alliance, and the partnership is now including Frax Finance, the Redacted Cartel, Badger DAO, Olympus DAO, and Token Reactor, which is the Tokamak token. This tweet here of Crypto Harry is a really good summary. Basically, 6 of the largest holders have all banded together, and they account for 62% of the CVX token, which means they've got the vast majority now. They can basically dominate the curve liquidity wars by redirecting the incentives towards the 4Pool, which is in all of their interests. So that's quite significant as well. Next up, we've got the Leap wallet. They've announced that there's going to be some token rewards. Essentially, there's going to be a token for the Leap wallet. Now, Do Kwon actually tweeted about the Leap wallet about a month ago, and I've been using it in my Terra 10K challenge videos, and it's pretty streamlined. It seems to work quite well, and it looks like over time they're going to be building more and more into this. So I would suggest people start trying to use it, have a bit of a play with it, because you might be getting an airdrop, or you might start earning extra rewards if you do so. The details of this haven't been fully released yet either, but you can go to their website and subscribe with your email address and get all the information when it first comes to light. Or I continue, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Hi, I'm Gerry, host of the Lunar Orbit podcast, where I provide regular alpha and updates on all things Terra Luna. And if you enjoy this content, consider supporting the channel by smashing that like button, hitting subscribe, and hitting the notifications bell so you get all my videos in a timely fashion. Next up is just a reminder that the Kinetic token launch is still ongoing. We're in phase 2 and it's coming to a close. So just to recap, phase 2 is going to help to bootstrap the KNTC and UST pool by the protocol. The protocol is going to own that liquidity going forward, and some funds are also just going to be held in the Kinetic treasury. So phase 2 basically allows you to come in and simply buy some of the Kinetic token. Now, we don't know what the exact price is. It's going to be determined at the end based on how much money is in this pool, but you can come in here and buy a portion of the token, and you'll get that token as soon as this phase ends. It also guarantees an allocation for you to borrow against once the protocol launches next week. Okay, moving right along. So the next thing I wanted to mention was Proteus Finance. This is just about to launch with its initial DEX offering, and you'll be able to purchase their token through ThorStarter, app.thorstarter.org, and it looks like also Terra has an allocation as well, but you'll need to hold the STT token to be able to access that. Proteus Finance looks like a pretty ambitious this DeFi protocol that's trying to simplify the whole experience for an end user. So if we just jump in and have a quick look at what they've got planned, the idea is that you would come and buy or deposit some USD stablecoins like Tether. They would swap it in the background and deploy it in a low risk way to generate extra yield. But the thing that I really like about it is there's going to be a debit card linked to this. So that's where the real world adoption comes in, where people can basically park some of their funds here and get above average returns, but then use it in the real world with a debit card. So that's super exciting. And if you have a look at their white paper, they go into a little bit more detail on how it's going to work at the back end. Obviously this can change, but the idea here is that you pretty much deposit some USDT Tether, and in the back end, they will swap that to UST for you. And I assume they do that off chain to avoid Ethereum gas fees. They would cover the costs. So it's a good user experience for us, but then they deploy it into some of the popular protocols on Terra. I'm guessing they're going to leverage that in Anchor and probably manage that liquidation risk and then start deploying some of those funds in TeFi. And they're saying it simplifies the whole process for a user. It basically folds down 9 steps that you would have to take as a user to get into DeFi farming on Terra, and it reduces it to just 3, all within one app, which is linked to a debit card. So that sounds like a really enticing proposition, and I can't wait to see all of these things start to come out, and they're all just going to keep driving further adoption, further demand for UST, and more Luna to be burned. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and maybe consider watching one of my other videos.